Welcome to Mokena's Front Porch, a Mokena history podcast with Matt Galick and me, Israel Smith. All right, Matt, this is an exciting night.
It definitely is.
I got a call on December 12th from Sarah Fulcher, and she works for a company called Marion Wilcox Corporation.
Okay.
And I guess they settled deeds and wills and all of that, and they said they had an old box of photos from somebody that had passed away. Couldn't find anybody that was interested in them or wanted them, and asked if we would be interested or knew where they could go.
Okay.
And mentioned the Hatch family.
Yeah, definitely.
And I said I was very interested. So
yeah, I don't blame you. I would be too.
They sent this package all the way from Cornelius, Oregon for us.
All right.
And so we saved it. I got it just before Christmas, but we haven't had the time to get together. So
yeah,
we're down here at the library today. I've been using these rooms to record the campaign, upcoming election videos, and they're very nice. The library is very accommodating for us, and these are nice rooms. So with that, Matt, any thoughts before we open it up? What do you think? Any idea what's in here?
I have a suspicion based on the size and weight of this box that this might be and maybe I'm totally wrong on this, but I'm thinking this might be a 19th century photo album that once belonged to a local lady who our listeners and viewers will remember us talking about by the name of Carol Norton, who was a Mokenian who had some very interesting local lineage in that her great-grandparents were John and Nancy Hatch of Mokena. And I know we've the Hatches have come in and out of various things we've talked about over the past couple years, and I could just go on at length about Mr. Hatch and everything he did, his contributions to the village. Storekeeper, grain merchant, he built our grain elevator in 1884, 1885, local Civil War veteran, first village clerk, school trustee, postmaster, justice of the peace. Very historic guy.
He had what's now Zap Taco building.
That is right. What is now Zap Tacos was once known as Hatch Hall because he built that building as a general multi-purpose hall building, and then he moved his store into it. And then after he passed away in the 1920s, his son reconverted it into a hall. So just lots of history there, and I remember Carol, his great-granddaughter, Carol Norton, had this really cool, 19th century photo album that it was really ornate and fancy, and it was leather bound, and it had like a buckle that closed it. And people who are familiar with antiques and stuff like that will be familiar with these old photo albums, the really stiff cardboard pages with the big photos from back at the end of the 1800s, early 1900s, where you could kind of slide them in. And there was a bunch of Hatches in there, and Carol's great-great-grandparents on Nancy Hatch's side were Isaias and Matilda McGovney, who, once again, our viewers and listeners will know of us having talked about over the past few years a lot of times. So, there's a potential for there to be a lot of really cool Mokena history in this box here.
Well,
whatever it may be.
Let's see. All the anticipation. I brought a handy knife here. We are, as we said, opening it on the spot for the first time.
We have no idea what's going to be in here.
Very exciting.
I should mention Carol passed away. Over a year ago.
We did a tribute. Tribute to her.
We did, and she had no immediate family around here, so that's why I'm thinking maybe her stuff might have, or her estate might have been taken care of by these folks out in Oregon.
Okay, and so this is what I have the GoPro here, and what we're gonna do is we'll record up close in this with the GoPro, so you can see what's on the pages, but you can overall see from the other camera. So
very cool.
All right, here we are, Matt.
Oh, I knew it.
You want to pull that out?
I have the honors. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's see. There's a few things in here. Let's see. Yep. Oh, very cool. Oh,
Is this what you thought it was going to be?
Yep, that's exactly that's Carol Norton's album of her ancestors. You can see it's got this really nice leather and like a buckle right here. Just a real typical photo album for, end of the 1800s, maybe early 1900s. And
What's this on anything on the spine there?
oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it just says album.
Album. Okay.
Oh, and I remember there was a tintype in here that wasn't like.
Look at this buckle. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's
Look
okay.
at this buckle. What a cool little.
It's very cool. Let's see. Here we go. It says patent December 6th, 1881. Something else. Patent something June 22nd, 1875. So at least that's when the buckle was patented. But very cool. There was a tintype in here that was really big. It was like that big, which usually every tintype is like an inexpensive photo printed on tin that I'd ever seen before that. It was really small. They're like that big. So let's see if it's in here.
Yeah.
Yep, that's Mr. Hatch. That's such a cool photo. Oh, man.
Wow.
That's John Alexander Hatch right there. He was born in 1842 in what would become Frankfort Township. His parents were kind of early settlers of, I say what would become Frankfort Township because the township didn't exist yet, Mokena and Frankfort didn't exist yet. So he lived like a pioneer's life.
And then who is this? Do we see next to her?
Sure, that's Mr. Hatch's wife, Nancy. She was born Nancy McGovney, and of course, all of us know who the McGovneys were. They were the first non-native family to settle where Mokena would later stand.
And is this a book that John Hatch would have put together himself, or him and his wife put together?
I could imagine it was Mr. and Mrs. Hatch. If not them, maybe one of their kids.
Yeah.
I believe they had about 9 kids. It was, let's see if I have this right. I believe it was 6 daughters and 3 sons. Wow. A big family. That's such a cool picture. I remember this picture, but I don't remember this one of Nancy. That's really cool. I like her bow right there. Very cool. Now we're venturing into territory. I'm not totally, I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
So this photo. These types of photos are called cabinet cards.
It's a heavier kind of stock, right? You're gonna pull that one.
Yeah,
out.
it's like a stiff cardboard. I'm seeing if maybe this gentleman's name is on. Yeah, of course, it's not on the back. I would imagine this would be one of the Hatches or one of their friends or maybe one of their relatives. I do have, luckily when Carol was still around, she gave me, she was very generous and gave me kind of like full reign over all her old photos. And at one point, I copied a bunch of them and sat down with her and she told me who all was who and I wrote on my copies of the pictures. Can't remember if we did that for any of these, but this gentleman could very well be one of the Hatch boys. The pictures of the children I'm more familiar with as they were a little older.
What's behind the picture there? It looks like the photographer card here.
Yeah, this looks like the back of the picture of Nancy Hatch. Looks like it says E.W. Krause, photographer, 184 East Madison Street, Chicago.
Okay.
Very cool. Very cool.
Can I see that?
Oh, yeah,
card?
sure, yeah. It looks like that photographer was Joliet, I think it said.
And just a neat, embossing there on the bottom.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I love those old pictures. The card stock themselves are always really cool. Cool advertisements almost for the photographer. Let's see. These guys. Yeah, I'm starting to remember these pictures, but I don't remember if we ever went through who they were or if she even knew who they were. Very distinguished gentleman and lady right there. Probably some well-known figures in Mokena's history that we've never seen pictures of, and we would probably know their names if we knew who they were. Let's see who else we got here. don't know any of these folks here, these ladies. Let's see here. Oh, here we go. Yeah, don't know her. This is a little picture there. Oh, this is cool. Okay, this picture, the stamp on the back says it was taken by Fred Heising of Frankfurt. He was a photographer in Frankfurt for a little bit there, and it's every once in a while you happen across pictures from his studio. It's pretty cool because it says Frankfurt Station right there, which is what Frankfurt was called until I believe it was the early 1900s. There was long story. They changed their name shortened their name in the early 1900s. That's pretty cool.
That's cool.
From Heising, yeah. Let's see here if we know anybody else in here. Some more girls with cool. I'm not a fashion expert. I forget what these little things are called that they would wear right up at the base of their neck there, but that's a pretty cool one. All very sophisticated looking people here.
Wow, look at that.
This one, you can tell this one is, it looks like it had been tinted at one point. Like she's got a little bit of pinkness to her cheeks there.
Oh, yeah.
Which you happen across sometimes in photos back then from the 19th century. Sometimes the photographer would touch it up a little bit to give it a little bit of color.
Real decked out baby there.
Yeah. Looks like maybe a christening photo or something based on his little outfit he's got on there. Let's see. Oh, there's something on the back there. Martha Emma Grunewald, August 1887. That's not a Mokena name. Maybe friends from out of town or something. Huh, very cool. And here we go. Here's Mr. and Mrs. Hatch again. Oh, here we go. What is this? Henry McGovney. Sorry, I'm in your space here.
No,
Henry
you're good.
McGovney, son of Scott McGovney. Those names don't ring any bells, but they were probably just extended McGovney family members who maybe lived out of town. And that's John Hatch and Nancy Hatch again. Let's see here. See if I can. I'm not going to force this, but maybe if I can get this little. We can see where that picture was taken. Oops.
Yeah, I think it was already ripped a little bit.
Oh yeah. There we go. That's that same photographer from Joliet, Jefferson Street in Joliet. Very cool. Whenever I see an old picture of a Mr. Hatch, I always look at his eyes because in the Civil War he had an injury to his eyes that gave him a lot of trouble over the years, especially as he got older. But he blamed this issue he had on the scorching sunlight of the South that he was exposed to for a few years. Girls there, maybe Mokena girls. It's like a little boy wearing a pretty cool scarf. This kind of studious girl there with her book. That's a pretty cool shot. A lot of the, I'm not like a fashion or historian or expert, but a lot of what these people are wearing kind of makes it look like these pictures were taken maybe like in the 1880s or thereabouts. This is a pretty cool shot of this little guy here doing the Napoleon pose. Very cool.
So how long do you think it's been since you've seen this photo album?
Oh, good question. I want to say the last time Carol and I went through her pictures was probably around 2010 or 11, thereabouts.
Okay.
Yeah. So not like a super long time ago.
Pretty cool that it made its way back.
Yeah, I'm so happy that it's back in Mokena where it belongs. These girls look familiar, but I can't put my finger on. Let's see, this says Clinton McGovney, son of Thomas McGovney of Ohio, maybe? Which makes sense because the McGovneys came from Ohio, so I'm sure they still had family back there that never came out this way. Very cool. This one's cool. Thomas McGovney of Joliet, Illinois, I think that says. Thomas McGovney would have been, let's see here, would have been Nancy Hatch's uncle. And he, with the rest of the McGovney family, was one of the early settlers of what would become Mokena. But pretty early on, even well before the Civil War, when he was an adult, he moved off to Joliet and embraced his family out there. So it's probably a child named after him, or grandchild maybe. Very, very cool. Oh, here we go. We got some. Orrin Philbrook and Elwood Philbrook. The Philbrooks were relatives of the McGovneys. One of Nancy Hatch's aunts married a Philbrook, so maybe these are like her cousins, maybe. This one's a house here. It doesn't look like Mokena, though.
Yeah, so there's a house.
There's that background in there, yeah.
Could be a lot of houses in Mokena.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh, yeah. Oh, last one, let's see. Here we go. That's Ella Goodspeed McGovney. Doesn't ring any bells. Lulu, maybe? Lula and Eva, daughters of Elvin and Ella McGovney. Probably cousins, maybe. Very cool. Very cool photo album, so I'm glad that it made its way. Oh, is there more?
Back here? No, oh, just the leaf.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty cool.
And pretty good condition.
Yeah, really, for its age, it's in really good condition. The binding seems really good. I mean, there's a little bit, it's kind of worn right here, but I mean, it's not like it's falling apart or anything. It's
And the gold edge, this, how cool.
Yeah.
Well, there's a few more things here, Matt.
Yeah. I already recognize one of the things I saw sticking out. Let's see if I can grab it here, because this is something that's really, really cool. If I can get it out here. Let's see, there we go. Yep. Okay. All right.
So what's this?
So this is the Hatch, whoops, let's get this out of the way. This is the Hatch family, all posed in front of the Hatch homestead in Mokena. This house still stands and looks very similar to this still today. This is on Mokena Street on the, let's see, this would be the northeast corner of Mokena and First Streets. It's kind of like a yellowish, dark yellowish kind of house today.
Yeah.
And there's Mr. Hatch right there, and his kind of a little older. And there's Nancy Hatch. And Carol went through this picture with me and identified a good number of these people. That could be Henry Stillwagon, who was Mr. Hatch's son-in-law, who married his daughter Jenny. Henry Stillwagon's a cool figure in Mokena's history because he owned a livery stable on Front Street. And that's Carol's mom right there. I can't remember what her first name was, though. She was a Pittaway. The Pittaways were some of John and Nancy Hatch's grandkids.
Wow.
But yeah.
Any idea if you had to guess on an age of this one?
Yeah. Want to say around 1910 or 12, maybe. I actually do think I did happen across the exact date this picture was taken.
Really?
It was in the early 1900s, a little before World War I.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's a really cool
Very
one.
cool.
Very cool.
Well, let's
cool
keep
shot.
digging here.
Yeah, let's see what else we got in
A lot
here.
of treasures.
Yeah, looks like it. Oh, wow. Here's to hoping some of these are written on the back here. Oh, here we go. This looks like Carol did. James Pittaway, Aura's grandfather. If I'm not mistaken, Aura is Carol Norton's mother. So if this is James Pittaway, he was not a Mokenian. I think the Pittaways came or were from Chicago, if I'm not mistaken.
Very cool
Yeah,
picture.
very cool picture. What is his? I can't really recognize what's on his fob right there. I thought maybe it would be like a cool Masonic symbol or some kind of fraternal something or other, but I can't really tell what it is. Oh, that's a cool picture though. Let's see if we. Oh, here we go. George. This is Carol's handwriting. George Pittaway, Aura's father, age 48. I'll have to double check. I can't remember if Aura was Carol's mom or not. In any case, these would be relatives of Carol's, but not Mokenians.
Okay.
It's like an embossed photographer stamp down there. It says, Waters of Chicago.
Huh.
Let's see here. This little girl there was, that's Aura Vern Pittaway, aged 2 years, and I think Aura was Carol's mom. I'll have to double check that at home, but I think, yeah, it's like be Carol's mom. Once again, not a Mokenian, but someone who would have known her grandparents, the Hatches in Mokena, and would have come out here from time to time, I'd imagine. Visit and whatnot. Oh yeah, okay. So yeah, so this is Aura Vern Pittaway, the same little girl there, and then it says Norton in parentheses next to her. So that's got to be Carol's mom. Maybe from the 20s. Oh, here's another one of the. Whoop, barely fits in there. This is another one of the Hatch group shots, but
Same photo?
I think it's slightly different because some of the expressions are a little different. Like I remember this girl was kind of washed out on the other one, so they might have taken a couple shots. Very cool picture,
Great
though.
picture.
I know I've had this picture of Mr. Hatch on my blog before. Wrote about him a few times. Very cool. Got this gentleman in uniform here. Let's see. Georgie Pittaway, Aura's father. So
You recognize that uniform at all?
Good question. I don't. I can there is lettering above one of his medals here, but I can't quite read it. Maybe, looks like he's got crosses on his cuffs and on his belt buckle. And on the sash here, maybe Knights of Columbus or something, maybe. Just totally guessing.
Yeah, that makes sense. You see the cross on the belt. And did you know who this was? Do we have a name?
Oh
on
yeah,
that?
it says Georgie Pittaway, Aura's father. So if I'm correct in remembering that Aura was Carol Norton's mom, that would be Carol's grandfather.
Okay.
Yeah. And here we have an envelope full of pictures. Cool car right there. Let's see. Georgie Pittaway again there. Maybe his car. Definitely does not look like Mokena though, probably the city. There's George Pittaway again. This just says July 1934, Rockford, Illinois. And what looks like Jim, Estelle, and MPH. I can't think of any Jim or Estelles in the Hatch family. But who knows? Let's see, there's that. Another cool old car with some bungalows. That doesn't tell us anything. Definitely not Mokena, but still a cool shot. I know if we showed this picture to Mr. Quinn, he could tell us exactly what make and model of a car that is. Local former mayor and automotive expert. And this says Grandma November 1923. Oh, in the back it says Grandma Pitaway. So lots of Pitaways in these smaller little snapshots. Let's see here. This says June 1944, which was a very historic month. Probably some more Pitaways with another cool car right there. George and Grace Pitaway, taken at West Baden, Indiana, October 26, 1924. If I'm not mistaken, I think Grace Pitaway, let me have a look at her. I think Grace was, she was a Hatch, if I'm not mistaken. So she would have grown up in Mokena, if that's her. Oh, there they are again. Oop, another one, let's see.
Very dapper couple.
Oh yeah, West Baden, October 1922. We got a whole bunch of pictures of them. Must have been a trip. Many happy returns of the day with love from Grace and Judd. More shots of them probably at West Baden. This one has Carol's name on the back, taken at West Baden, October 18th, 1922. Grace and George Pitaway. Let's see. Yep, September 14th. This says September 14th, 1920, West Baden, so they must have been there a few times. Cool, a shot of an interior of a house. Looks like a kitchen. It says Aunt Grace in her kitchen. And then the stamp on the back from when the photo was developed says February 23rd, 1938. And here we've got George and Grace Pitaway, Aura's mother and father. So those were Carol's grandparents, I believe. And Grace was the, I'm pretty sure she was the Hatch, born in Mokena. Daughter of John and Nancy Hatch. This says George Pitaway, Nellie Pitaway, mother, in parentheses. Grace Pitaway, Douglas, Arizona, 5/21/31. It says right before we left for the 50-year golden wedding party. George and Grace Pitaway. There is a stamp on the back that says it looks like June 27th, 1940 something. I can't read the last number, it's too faded. This is marked 5/21/31. It says Douglas, Arizona, Grandma, Aunt Grace maybe, and then MPH and Uncle Judd. Uncle Charlie Smith, MP Hamill, Aunt Lou Smith, EO Bill Hamill, Grandma Pitaway, seated, taken in Douglas, Arizona. Aunt Lou Smith was a daughter of Grandpa Pitaway by a former marriage when Grandpa lived in England. Interesting. So no Mokena names, but interesting still. And let's see if we have anything on the back here. Oh, there's George Pitaway again. That's kind of a cool shot there.
Yeah, I like that one.
George Pitaway again. It says Judd, I think, right there, 5/21/31. MPH, I think that's an M or an N. On the back it says Uncle Judd plus MPH, brother and sister. It's another cool photo from the Joliet photographer. Oh, here we go. Here's a Mokenian. Jenny Hatch Stillwagon. So Jenny Hatch was John and Nancy Hatch's, and I think she was their oldest daughter, born around 1867, thereabouts. She married Henry Stillwagon, who grew up in his earliest years in the far southern part of Orland Township, but eventually moved to Mokena.
And is she buried in Mokena?
Yeah, the Stillwagons are buried in Marshall Cemetery, right, right. I don't know if it's if they're in the Hatch plot or if they're very close. I don't know if that's still part of the plot or not. But yeah, they're buried in Marshall Cemetery.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe Jenny Stillwagon died around 1945 or thereabouts, right on end of World War II.
So is there anything else in the box?
I think there are a few more things. Oh, there's
yeah.
an envelope in here with some papers in it. Oh, are these the... Oh, wait, I think I remember what this is. I think this is that little booklet. Okay, yeah, this is very cool. So, this is a little booklet. It just says Surveyor's Rate Book, Hartford Fire Insurance Company. You know, probably for your, insurance policy or whatever. But in the inscription here says Nanny Hatch, Mokena, Will County, Illinois, February 21st, 1888. And of course, Nanny Hatch, that's John Hatch's wife, and she was born in McGovney. And in this book, she sort of writes out the genealogy of her family.
Wow, that's cool. Huh.
Yeah, that's really cool stuff. Like she's got her brother, Isaias Irwin McGovney, here born October 20th, 1855. And he's aged 32 years at the time she wrote this. He would, very historic figure, he was postmaster for a lot of years. I think he was mayor, too, after their father, Isaias Sr. Emily McGovney, their sister, William Washington McGovney, who was born in 1851. I believe he passed away as a child. Here she says, Grandpa McGovney, that's Isaias McGovney, birthday is on the 14th of December, 1824, aged 62 years. Very cool. Grandma McGovney's birthday is on the 23rd of February, 1829, 58 years old. That's Matilda Ellsworth McGovney. All buried in Marshall Cemetery nowadays.
And this is a book you've seen before as well?
Yeah, I have seen this book. I think I photographed most of the contents of this book, if I remember right. For example, she's got the Ellsworths in here, who were they were kind of like pioneers of New Lenox Township. They, I believe, they're buried in Marshall Cemetery too. They were Isaias McGovney's in-laws, his wife Matilda's family.
And so the whole thing is all birth dates?
Births, yeah, births. There's some marriages in here.
Anniversaries, okay.
Like, yeah, John A. Hatch married Nancy McGovney the 15th of May, 1866. That was right after he got out of the Civil War. Very cool. William W. McGovney, his middle name was Wilson, William Wilson McGovney, married to Emily M. Ellsworth, the 1st of April, 1847.
So what do you think was the purpose of this book? Just to have it, to know the dates? That would have been the only way they kept records? Or?
Yeah, I think, just to have like a handy, maybe little reference of who was who in the family and when they were born and stuff like that. Or maybe she made this to pass down to her kids and grandkids, so they would have something about the record of their family. Like this is, I can tell she started writing here the births of her own children. Nanny, what does that say? Is that an E-L-Y-A? Nanny something Hatch, born the 11th of August, 1874. It looks like she scratched out 1878 maybe, and put 1874. John Isaias Hatch, born 10th of July, that's my birthday, in 1878. Emma Edith maybe? Hatch, born the 21st of September, 1872. She died tragically as I think she was a teenager, pretty young. Grace Edna Hatch, that's Carol's grandmother, I believe, April 1880. Ella Ora Hatch, born 1882. And here she's got the names of all of her children. Jenny, Emma, Nanny, John, Grace, Ella, Albert, Lois, and Alfred. And of all of those children, the one that lived the longest was Alfred Hatch. His full name was Alfred Clinton Hatch, and he was born in Mokena in 1889. And he was a World War I veteran. He made it over to France in World War I, but luckily he came back in one piece. And yeah, he survived the longest out of all of his siblings. He passed away in 1981 or 1982 in Florida. He moved down to Florida after he retired, after living in Mokena for a long, long time. Everybody called him Joe, too. You would never know that his real name was actually Alfred. He always went by Joe Hatch. Who do we have here? And this is interesting. I remember this. Oh, these are all some really historic names here. Here it says Treasury Ship. And then there's a bunch of names of some Frankfurt people and some Mokena people. And maybe she was using this as like a journal for a club or some kind of society or something. Chris Sipple, he was a storekeeper on Front Street. Of course, a lot of longtime Mokenians will know that name, Sipple. John Schubert, a name that goes way back into the 1800s. He kept a hardware store on Front Street. This guy is really interesting, Levi Doty. He was from Frankfurt, but he was way ahead of his time because he dedicated his life to protecting animals. Like I believe he worked in the Union stockyards in Chicago and brought their practices into something more humane than what it was. He was, in my opinion, Levi Doty was the most interesting man in Frankfurt's history.
Wow.
Really, really, really cool guy. Really interesting guy. Lived to be almost 100. Henry Beckstein, that's a name a lot of Mokenians will remember. He was one of our early German settlers. Or it could have been his son. His son was named Henry too. But these are all the Ruggles and Barker, those are Frankfurt names. What else do we have there? It looks like it's blank pages now. Oh, let's see, what was that? Delicate paper here. Looks like a lot of the same names. Mr. Meine is down there. He was a furniture maker, 1880s. He built coffins too. He had his business on Front Street. His building burnt down. It must have been around 1882 or 1883, thereabouts. Well, he was inside it, sleeping. Luckily, he got out as the ceiling was caving in around him. Interesting little booklet, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's see what else is in here. A map of Atascosa County, Texas.
Okay.
Looks like they have some oil wells down there. Don't know what this is here. This looks like a deed or something. Assignment of oil and gas lease from 1920. Okay, yeah, in connection therewith to George Pittaway of Chicago, Illinois. So this was, George must have invested in some property, some oil property down in Texas.
Did we just inherit an oil well or something?
Yeah, I know,
in Texas?
right? Yeah. Could be worth checking out.
Yeah, right.
Let's see if I can get this back to how it was. Yeah, there we go. Gotta set that like that. Here goes a death certificate for George Pittaway. Let's see, and he died on October 23rd, 1961. He was widowed at the time. Looks like he died at Christ in Oak Lawn. Let's see, born in Chicago, got his parents' names on there. He was a salesman in the coffee retail industry. Let's see. It says he was buried at Mount Hope in Worth. George Pittaway, husband of the late Grace Nee Hatch, dear father of Ora Norton. Okay, grandfather of Carol Norton. So there you go. That lays out the whole family right there. Here we go. This looks like this might be something interesting here. Ooh, it's a marriage certificate. Okay. Oh, this is really cool. Okay, here we go. It's kind of falling apart a little bit. But this is a marriage certificate for Henry Stillwagon of Will County, state of Illinois, to Jane M. Hatch of Will County, state of Illinois. Married 24th of October in the year of 1894. Witness Isaias McGovney.
That would have been senior?
I'm guessing senior, or this was, yeah, so this was, because his son Isaias usually differentiated himself from his father by going by his middle initial too.
Okay.
Isaias was always just Isaias, and Isaias Jr. was Isaias E., or sometimes people called him Irwin. But this is Isaias McGovney and M.J. McGovney, which I bet you is Matilda Jane McGovney. So these were Jane's grandparents, were the witnesses at the wedding. And Arthur McGovney was the Justice of the Peace, who must have married them. And Arthur was Jane Hatch's uncle. Very interesting.
Wow.
That's really cool. Oops. Circuit Court of Cook County. Okay, this is a naturalization document. Be remembered that on the 19th day of October, year of our Lord 1886, James Pittaway, okay, so this is James Pittaway, so a relative of George's, an alien came into court and applied to be admitted as a naturalized citizen of the United States. Queen of Great Britain and Ireland. So he must have been English. Oh, that's cool. 1886. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Death certificate. This is for Ora Vern Norton. So that's Carol's mom. Yeah, father George Pittaway, mother Grace Hatch. She passed in 1984 and was born in 1909. At St. Francis Hospital in Blue Island. Also buried at Mount Hope in here's at Chicago. This looks like a letter or something. Oh, it's very fragile. Gathering shells from the seashore. I wandered today on the seashore, the winds and the waves were low. And I thought of the days that are gone, Maud, many long years ago. Okay, it's like a poem or something. That's pretty cool. Or maybe a song, his chorus. Wonder if this is like an original. Or let's see.
So delicate. Huh?
Yeah, it is. Oh, here we go. Grace Hatch, Mokena, Illinois. That's pretty cool. Poem or a song she wrote. Very cool. We'll have to go back and read that whole thing. Oops. It's another letter or something. Oh, look at this. This is on Mr. Hatch's letterhead. John A. Hatch, Mokena Elevator, grain, flour, feed, coal, salt, tile, etc. General Merchandise Store, Mokena, Illinois, September 28, 1905, to Miss Grace E. Hatch. So this has got to be a letter from Mr. Hatch. Let's see if he... Yeah, wow, here it goes. It says, your pa, John A. Hatch. He wrote his full name to his daughter. That's kind of funny.
That's cool.
That's very cool. I'm going to have to sit down and read that. Mrs. Sheik did not want the house when I got her down to business unless she could have it for a year. Oh yeah, I definitely have to read that. Dear daughter, so he's got her name in Ravenswood here, which I think is part of Chicago now, so she must have been. He's talking about our little Wilbur, who is, I'm guessing he's talking about his grandson, Wilbur Hatch, who a lot of us know was a famous person. Mokena produced. Wilbur Hatch went on to have a career in Hollywood.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Making music for TV shows. Oh, that's really awesome. That's really cool. That's really cool. Holding a letter that John Hatch held in his hand.
Yeah, how cool.
Dedicated to my dear wife, Clara E. Hatch, on her 48th anniversary. The 40th anniversary is August 23rd, 1923. Who was Clara? Was that John Jr.'s wife? Let's see if there's... This says Dad. Clara Hatch, I know that name was one of John and Nancy Hatch's daughter-in-laws. I can't remember which one of the sons she married, though. Maybe John Jr., if I'm remembering correctly, but I'm not positive on that. Little poem about their wedding day, it looks like. Very cool. Let's see here. Looks almost like a family tree. Oh, here we go. Herman Grassel, County Auditor, Will County. Letter from May 12, 1945. The war in Europe had just ended. Herman Grassel was one of John and Nancy Hatch's son-in-laws. And he's writing to our own Wilbur Hatch in his address in North Hollywood, California. Dear Wilbur, you most likely know by this time that your Aunt Jenny died on April 30th and was buried on May 2nd at Mokena, Illinois. Will you please send me the date and place of your father's death, the date and place of your mother's birth, death, and also the date and place of their marriage? Your wife's maiden name, her date and place of birth. Would also like the same information from Florence, Virginia, and Jack, with the exception of Jack's wedding date. Don't forget to give all initials in each case. So this is, I'm guessing what happened here is Wilbur took this letter and then wrote this stuff on it and sent it back to his uncle. Because John Ozias Hatch was his dad, born in 1877 and died in California in 1931. That's pretty cool.
Wow.
Let's see if he signed his name on here anywhere. It doesn't look like it. That's pretty cool, though. I had a picture of Wilbur Hatch in my first Mokena book, actually. Closest thing to a famous person Mokena's ever had. Here we go. Let's see. Oh, this looks like a marriage certificate, maybe. Kind of torn, unfortunately. But this certifies on 12th day of June, year of our Lord, 1907, George E. Pittaway and Grace E. Hatch were united by me in the bond of marriage at Mokena, Illinois. Reverend R.A. White. D.P. I can't remember what church. Maybe Methodist Church? He wasn't from one of the German churches. Witnesses Ozias McGovney, so her grandfather, and James Pittaway. Very cool. Probate Court of Cook County, estate of James Pittaway. Petition of Nellie Pittaway. Here's some legal stuff here. Yeah, this looks like stuff about the settling of James Pittaway's estate, who, if I'm understanding all this stuff correctly, was Grace Hatch Pittaway's father-in-law? I think. I hope I'm getting this right, Carol. We don't mean to get your genealogy wrong if we're...
List all the addresses of the kids at the time.
Yeah, yeah. Quite a few brothers and sisters there. Oh, here we go. Oh, this is cool. My honorable discharge from the U.S. service. Let's see who this is going to be for. Oh, look at that. It's for Alfred Hatch. Oh, that's awesome. Honorable discharge. This is from World War I. Honorable discharge from the United States Army. True copy of this document made by me on the 9th day of May, let's see if we can, 1923, for the purpose of something, Illinois something, Ona McGovney, another relative of theirs. This is to certify that Alfred C. Hatch, Joe Hatch, 1570778 Private, Company D of 5th, what is MG? Battalion? United States Army, said Alfred Hatch was born in Mokena in the state of Illinois. When enlisted, he was 28 years of age and by occupation a clerk. He had brown eyes, black hair, dark complexion, was 5 feet 8.5 inches in height. Given under my hand at Camp Grant, that's where a lot of the Illinois World War I guys wound up doing their training. This 15th day of August, 1919. That's pretty cool. So he got out of the Army not quite a year after the armistice was signed. Very cool.
Yeah.
Huh, that's cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. I don't think Alfred Hatch or Joe Hatch, whatever we're going to call him, I don't think he ever had any kids or got married. So kind of makes sense that his sister wound up with his discharge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot of interesting artifacts and
Oh, yeah.
Some Mokena people, some family members, and a little more distant.
Yeah.
Anything that really sticks out, or that you thought was a real treasure?
It's hard to say because all the Mokena stuff, I mean, it's all cool, but I really kind of honed in on the Mokena stuff. I really liked those pictures of Mr. and Mrs. Hatch that were in that album. I love the group shot of the whole family. And I really am into that letter that Mr. Hatch wrote to his daughter.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's so cool because he's talking about this random business that's going on in town, and it's on his letterhead.
Yeah.
And I kind of like how he signed it, "Your Pa, John A. Hatch." That's, very formal, but cool nevertheless. Yeah, I can't wait to spend some time with that and have a look at that.
Well, this is very cool. They reached out to us and found
absolutely.
us. If there's anybody else that has Mokena history, things you want to share, we would be happy to take those from you, or love to see them.
Yeah, we love it.
All of this stuff was, if it weren't for the people at this company looking and seeking out somebody to take it, it would have just been thrown in the garbage.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's happened more times than we'd like to know.
Yeah,
so,
right.
So Matt, great to kind of start the year with this. Great gift.
That's really cool. Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time.
We'll see you next time.